Slumped inside a bathroom of his 13th floor Buenos Aires apartment, 51-year-old Alberto Nisman was found dead. A bullet to his head, a .22 caliber pistol at his side. Initial accounts say it's suicide, but in a country where politics are as intriguing and complicated as the national dance, the conspiracy theories begin to twirl. At newsstands, at cafes, the conclusion is simple. Murder. Led in part by a controversial 61-year-old president, Cristina Fernández de Kirchner, who implies she knows it was no suicide, it's murder, and all part of a plot against her. But the question lingers. Who would do that?
It's a very huge crisis, institutional crisis, because a prosecutor have been killed, murdered, suicide, but his death.
Nisman was scheduled to testify in front of Congresswoman Patricia Bullrich's committee the very next day after he was found dead. His report details allegations that she says, if proven true, would reveal a bombshell about the worst terrorist attack in Argentina's history, pointing to a massive cover-up between Iran and Argentina's ruling administration led by President Cristina Fernández de Kirchner. On Saturday night, Bullrich talked to Nisman, calm and working, by phone.
15 hours later, he was dead.
Since his death, Nisman's nearly 300-page report has been released.
The most important information in the investigation of Nisman is that the Argentine government want to take away the responsibility of Iran in the bombing of AMIA. They want to destroy the investigation of the Argentine justice. That is the most...
You believe that's the core of what he found out?
That is the core of the investigation of Nisman.
To understand the magnitude of the charge, you have to go back 20 years to one of the darkest days in the history of Argentina's Jewish community. On July 18, 1994, a van loaded with 600 pounds of ammonium nitrate fertilizer parked on this Buenos Aires street in front of Argentina's Jewish Mutual Aid Society, known here by its initials, AMIA. At 9:53 in the morning, the van exploded, killing 85 and wounding hundreds. Over the years, the investigation has been mired in intrigue and allegations of corrupt and incompetent police work. And finally, in 2006, one prosecutor issues arrest warrants for 8 Iranian nationals, all by now believed to have fled back to Iran. But after 20 years, no one has ever been brought to trial or even arrested.
It was the prosecutor Nisman who first accused Iran and Iran's former president of being behind the attack. And on the eve of his death, it was the prosecutor now alleging his government and Iran were conspiring to cover it all up. The allegation, cash-strapped Argentina would get Iranian oil. Iran would get Argentinian grain. And conveniently, this country's worst terrorist attack would remain unsolved.
For Luis Chevesky, Nisman's death, suicide, or murder, and news of a possible cover-up by his own government is yet another blow in his 20-year search for justice.
This must have come as a complete shock.
His daughter, Paula, died in the bombing. She was just 21.
Are they willing to tell the truth? You don't know.
The truth, the facts in the investigation into the prosecutor's death are hard to find. Nisman was under protection of federal police, surrounded by bodyguards, but on the day before his death, he reportedly told those bodyguards, take the weekend off. The investigating prosecutor's office, mobbed daily by a rabid press, has issued only tidbits of information on the killing. But those tidbits have fueled endless media speculation. One report that says no gunpowder was found on Nisman's hands is what has most Argentinians convinced this was a suicide made to look like a suicide, a murder. Suicidado is the new term, suicided, no matter how impractical that may be.
The would-be assassin would first need to get through the security of the building, then get into the building itself, finally getting in a coded elevator and up to the apartment, where you would have to get inside the apartment, kill Nisman in his bathroom, and then back out while locking the door from the inside. Sounds implausible? Yes, but this is Argentina. Nothing gets in the way of a good conspiracy.
Last week, President Cristina Fernández de Kirchner appeared on television in a wheelchair from her home to propose yet another conspiracy. She believes the prosecutor's death was caused by rogue agents in Argentina's own spy community, and the rogue agents are trying to create a murder mystery to incriminate her. She has announced plans to dissolve the nation's spy agency. But suspicions here took another leap this weekend when it was revealed Alberto Nisman had drafted an arrest warrant for the president and her foreign minister. Dated last July, it was found in his garbage can. Congresswoman Bullrich says all faith in Argentina's justice system has been destroyed with one bullet.
If the judge and the prosecutor that are investigating Nisman's death say that it was a suicide, nobody will believe it.
It's fascinating. Drew Griffin joins us now. So the fact that the dead prosecutor had drawn up an arrest warrant for the president seems to indicate he really did believe she was somehow involved in a cover-up.
Yeah, it's just more of the mystery, though, Anderson. He draws up the arrest warrant but doesn't release it, doesn't file it with a court. Instead, he leaves it in the trash. The warrant does allege what he also alleged in his report to Congress, that President Kirchner and others, he believes, including her foreign minister, were deliberately trying to obstruct this investigation into the Jewish Center bombing so they could work out some kind of deal with Iran. It does call for the president's arrest in the warrant, but again, Anderson, he never filed it. He's dead. We don't know why he threw it in the trash, if he did throw it in the trash.
And I mean, despite all the suspicions, it could be a suicide.
Yeah. Over the weekend, DNA results were returned on the gun, on his clothing, on the bullets. They all matched just one person, him, Alberto Nisman, who was found with a bullet in his head and a gun at his side. But I'm telling you, 70% of this country still believes that it's a murder.
And I mean, based on what you just reported, this awful bombing 20 years ago, will it ever actually be solved?
Boy, the odds appear to be really against it. They can't even get a prosecutor willing to come forward now and pick up the case that Nisman left unfinished. There's so much intrigue and so much political hot potato going on with this investigation. And you have some fear, genuine fear, because we've got a prosecutor that many people believe may have been killed because of what he was alleging.